Hi guys, hi guys, SaintVicious here, and I'm going to be doing the patch 6.6 rundown, so let's hop into it. Alright, they got the Aurelion Sol. I'm not going to really go into him because I haven't really tried him very much, and I actually haven't really been watching him on the PvE very much. Maybe I'll be able to give a better opinion about him later when he comes into the game, but I've seen some people have been playing him as a jungler and a laner as well, so we'll see how he looks when he plays out in solo queue a little bit more. We got Alistar. They nerfed his healing to allies, which kind of sucks because one of the strengths of Alistar is he's a great blind pick because you can pick him into pretty much every single lane matchup, and even if the lane matchup is pretty bad for you, you can, just put 2 or 3 points in heal, and you can just heal out the lane, and any kind of poke that people would put down on your Ashe or whatever in lane that's just like taking skill shots out the ass, is you'll just heal that up and you'll just be fine and good to go. This is also going to hurt his sieging ability and his also counter sieging ability. Like when you're against a poke comp, Alistar is also really good and he could heal up the allies and heal up the poke, but I think that this hurt this really badly. I think Alistar is still going to be a pretty decent pick, but I don't think that he'll be as safe of a blind as he was before. So kind of a pretty decent nerf to Alistar here. Azir, they nerf River Battle on Sand Soldiers, which is not that big a deal. I mean, they already removed that before. I think it was like a bug. I think they disabled Azir for a little bit. A lot of people use Thunderlords on Azir right now, so it's not that big a deal that they nerfed this. River Battle was kind of broken on him. I mean, it's just way too much damage because you build Nashor's Tooth and he'd just like be destroying everybody. But I think Azir is still fine, even though if River Battle doesn't apply on his ability. Cho'Gath now has 10 more health on the base level and 30 more health on the max level for his feast stacks. I think this might be a buff for some top lane Cho matchups, although top lane Cho is really not that popular unless you're playing against like Ryze or something. And I also think that Jungle Cho might pop up here because you combine this with Strength of Ages and maybe you can get like Runic Echoes or something like that, or even just go Cinderhulk, and you're just going to be ridiculously tanky in the early and mid game. So I think Cho might show up a little bit, but the only problem with him with Cho'Gath is his like CC is not very reliable because it's kind of hard to hit the Q sometimes, and if you do die once, you lose a lot of your feast stacks, so people don't really like that. It's kind of a snowball champion almost, but I think this will help Cho'Gath a little bit. Maybe we'll see some more Jungle Cho with this. Echo, they increased the base movement speed on his passive. I don't think it's that big. And the phase drive also has a slightly lower cooldown in the earlier ranks. Seeing as you max Q first and then E, I think this is going to help his lane phase and maybe his early jungle clearing, but I don't think these are like that crazy big of changes. Like they keep giving Echo these small buffs over and over again. I think Jungle Echo is pretty much going to stay the same with this. Maybe top lane Echo will come out a little bit more, because one build I've seen people that they've been going like a full tank Frozen Fist Echo with like Grasp of the Undying, and it seems pretty good. You can play it against tanks too, and some of the other like melee matchups, and it seems like an okay pick. So if you're an Echo player, you can probably try on top of that build. Fiora, they nerfed her passive, God bless, because that does way too much damage. It's 2% of the target's maximum health now, and the ratio also got lowered in the earlier levels, but it actually got, 4.5% per 100 bonus attack damage. So yeah, the ratio is consistently 4.5%, but you don't really have like that much AD on Fiora until like the big game anyways, because usually people go like, some people are going Titanic Hydra into Black Cleaver, but I think regular Hydra into Black Cleaver is the build now, because they nerfed Titanic Hydra, which we'll be going into later. I think this is a decent nerf to Fiora overall. And then they also made the slow on the E only 30%, which is pretty nice because that's really obnoxious in lane, and it's also really obnoxious being chased down by the 60% slow Fiora. And also the range on it's a little bit lower. So I think this is a decent nerfs to Fiora. I think a lot of people already kind of figured out how to play against Fiora in general. And people also started building QSS against Fiora as well. So I think Fiora will still be viable, but I think a lot of the matchups that already could beat her are going to beat her a lot more than a lot of the matchups that she bullied are also going to be a little bit harder for her now. Like, I don't think she's going to be as good against tanks anymore. Like, some tanks will actually be able to play against her. Like, I know Poppy will just destroy Fiora now. Janna, they nerfed her shield by 10 at max rank and 4 at the first rank, and they also made the Monsoon disable duration 0.25 shorter. These are like decent nerfs. I don't think they're like gonna murder her, but these are definitely decent nerfs. I'm sure like Adrian's crying himself to sleep right now. Janna's always been a really safe support in solo queue, which is really easy to play. You pretty much just like press shield on somebody and then ultimate if people die of your ADC. So she's like the skill factor that's required to play Janna compared to like the payoff it's not correct. Like if you have a champion that can just sit behind people and do nothing, there should be some high mechanical skill value in that champion. So I'm glad they're doing these nerfs. Janna's always been strong in solo queue for a really long time, and there's a lot of like really bad players that just main Janna in solo queue, like tons of Janna mains in Masters and Challenger, and then if they play on any other champion besides Janna, they usually just get smashed. So good to see these nerfs. I think she's too easy. I'm sure all the I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind. All right, Jace. They pretty much just buffed his melee farm queue. It's a lot stronger, but I feel like the problem with Jace right now is that if you want a poke champion, you just play Varus, because Varus Q has a much shorter cooldown. He also has like CC follow up. He may not be as mobile and stuff, but I think Varus just like outclasses Jace all the way. And there's Corki in the game too. And there's just better poke champions in the game. Maybe this will be like good for top lane Jace, but I think that I think mid lane Jace, maybe you'll see some play from it, but I think you just rather play Varus or Corki. They're just obviously better picks than Jace at the moment, and that's why he's not played. But these are like decent buffs to melee farm Jace. Kalista, she's been ridiculously overpowered forever, so they nerfed her base attack speed and her attack speed growth stat. This is actually a really big nerf because they're nerfing the base attack speed, and if you look at the way that attack speed is calculated, all the attack speed that she gets is going to be multiplied off of this number instead of this number. So nerfing base attack speed is always like really huge for a nerf. People don't realize base attack speed nerfs are some of the biggest nerfs in the game. So this is going to hurt her a lot. Like yes, they did give her more attack speed on this ability, but this is 27% multiplied by this, not this. So it's actually pretty big nerfs to Kalista's attack speed. So her rundown effect and her kiting effect will be neutered pretty hard here. The Sentinel laps will be 3 instead of 7. I don't know why they lasted 7. That's way too long. And then also now she doesn't do 20% of the target's maximum HP at max rank. She does 15%. So it got nerfed by 5% across the board. This is also going to make her Gromp and doubles a little bit slower, and it's going to make her early laning phase all in a little bit weaker now as well. She'll get a little bit more attack speed though, but that doesn't matter because, you know, once again, this number right here. And then Fate's Call now also has shorter range. I think these are pretty big nerfs to Kalista, and I think this is going to take her down from being like the top, you know, best pick always, no matter what ADC kind of pick, to a pick where you're going to pick it sometimes. Like, it's still a good pick, but it's going to be situational. Like Kalista Alistar, Kalista Braum, Kalista Thresh, like all these like power team fighting champion combos and power laning combos are still going to be strong because of the all-in potential, but I think there's going to be ADCs that can outshine Kalista in a lot of situations now. So these are finally the nerfs I think that Kalista needed to take her out of being ridiculously OP, but she's still going to be strong sometimes. See, we got Defiance, the shield got increased, and the AP ratio got increased. These are actually pretty big buffs to the Mantra one. These are pretty decent buffs to the Mantra one. I think support Karma, I mean, yes, Adrian played her in the LCS, but I still think that she can get punished really hard once she, like level 6 happens. Like the way you play Karma is you just like poke them, and you hopefully get a big lane advantage pre-6. But if you don't get a big lane advantage, like the other jungler, I mean the other support just ends up being level 6, and they have an ultimate, and they just like shit on you because they have an ultimate, and you don't have a real ultimate. So I think Karma will still be a lane bully, and she'll still have that strength, and this will just kind of like help her be a little bit better team fighter. I don't think this will like make her OP or anything like that, but this will just make her a little bit better. Let's just say that. Okay, so Kha'Zix's got a 0.5 second cooldown buff on the Q and a 1 second cooldown buff on the Void Spikes. I think this will help Kha'Zix's early clear a decent amount, but I don't really think it's going to change much else for him. Like, Kha'Zix still doesn't have that much CC on his early ganks, and his dive potential is also pretty low, so I don't think you're going to be seeing Kha'Zix in competitive play at all, but I think for solo queue these are going to be like some decent buffs, so especially in low elo where Kha'Zix can just kind of like snowball and go off super hard and just like solo carry the game. But I don't think this is like the game-breaking Kaz exchanges, for competitive at least, but these are decent solo queue buffs. Lulu, they made 5% per 100 ability power ratio change on her Whimsy, and the Whimsy also lasts 1 second shorter at max rank. These may not seem like a big nerf, but if you look at how people play Lulu in the mid and late game and competitive, like if you look at Faker, usually what happens is he just split pushes the side lane with TP, and he is fucking impossible to catch because Whimsy just makes him so damn fast and it lasts so long that it's impossible to catch him in the split push. So this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt that ability to split push a little bit. So I think that Lulu will still be a great pick, but it's gonna hurt. You're gonna be able to like actually catch her if she's split pushing now. I think that's the big difference here. So these are pretty good Lulu nerfs overall. Lux, they basically made it to where your W double stacks now instead of just hitting somebody once, but they made the base value on the shield lower, so it'll be 220 if both of them hit, but it will also have a lower ability power ratio if only one of them hit. But this is actually a 0.4 ability power ratio if you look at it, because there's two shields hitting. So overall, I think the shield got a buff. So this is a buff to Lux. I think Lux is already a pretty strong pick in the mid lane. And I actually thought they were going to nerf her on this patch, but I guess they took away those nerfs and just ended up... I guess they just ended up buffing her instead. So, well, that's nice. Lux is kind of a... She's always been like a pretty safe, strong pick, so... I guess, yeah, she'll stay the same. This is only a small buff. Maokai, they made it to where now he has more flat MR, and he has MR per level now. And also on top of that, his saplings last a little bit longer, actually double longer at max ranks, but usually people max E last, so that's not going to matter that much. But even the base values are going to be a little bit longer. And I think this is the change that Maokai really needed to come back into competitive play, because you couldn't really play Maokai against a lot of the other tank tops that people were playing. Like, you couldn't play him against like Nautilus or like Rammus or I mean, Poppy probably would still smash Maokai with this change, but there's just a lot of picks that really messed up Maokai. Like Echo is a good example of that because he had no MR. Like I think Huni played it into Maokai and dumpstered him. So a lot of these hard matchups that you'd have before, like Maokai is actually going to be able to lane against these matchups now and transition into the mid and late game. And then also on top of this, I think these changes really help Maokai's support as well. And I think some people will probably even end up flexing the champion in competitive. I think I've tried Maokai's support a couple times in solo queue, even before these buffs, and he feels decently strong, but his mid and late game feel kind of weak because he just doesn't have any MR, and I think these are going to help that mid and late game out a lot with Maokai, so I'm pretty sure he'll be seeing Maokai in competitive a lot more after this change. Yi, they made the base damage go up by 10 on the E, but they lowered the ratio to bonus attack damage instead of total attack damage. This basically means that if you want to be the Yi that just shits on everybody and kills them, you have to build attack damage now instead of going Bruiser tank, like that Bruiser Yi build where you just get like 1 or 2 damage items like Ginsu Rage Blade or Blade the Ruined King, and then you go full tank. So this is going to hurt that a lot. Also, Devour is not going to be as good because, once again, it's bonus attack damage instead of total attack damage. So I think this is a decent Yi nerf. I think Yi is like, I don't like the way you played the game with Yi because he's like, it's basically you don't play the jungle the right way to play Yi. Like if you're a jungler, you should be influencing the map pre-6 and snowballing lanes. And Yi is not that type of champion. He's a very selfish jungler, and he doesn't really do those type of things. He tries to carry from the late game. So I'm glad that they nerfed him because his playstyle is not the type of playstyle that a jungler needs to have. Nidalee, they made it to where hunting monsters no longer roots them, so that basically means that you can't kite as easily and that you can't do the scuttle crab instantly. And then Furious Fights no longer resets Nidalee's basic attack, which is gonna hurt her clear speed as well. And also the damage got buffed a little bit on this. I think these like people will see this and they see this as like, oh, like these aren't that big of nerfs. These are actually really huge nerfs to Nidalee's first clear. And that's one of the strongest parts about Nidalee is that she'll always be level 4 when the other jungler is level 3 unless the other jungler does a weird path. So I think she'll still be okay in solo queue if you're a beast in Nidalee, but in competitive play I don't think you're going to see Nidalee that much anymore unless you're building like some stupid poke comp and you somehow have like a really good jungle path you figure out. So these are good nerfs to Nidalee, and a lot of the other junglers will be able to compete with her now. Before she was just like must pick, must ban. super high priority like broken champion, and now she's just going to be average. Orianna, they made it to where her mana cost in her Q is now 30 instead of 50. At lower ranks, this doesn't seem like a big buff, but it's actually a pretty big buff because what you can do is you can get 1 point in Q, and then you can max W or E second, W or E first, which is what a lot of people, like I know GBM and Keen and a couple other people, they max W first on Orianna. So now your Q, you can just keep 1 point in it until later, and you'll be able to support the mana of actually poking and harassing people with QW, because you'll have 20 mana off of that. So it's actually a pretty decent Orianna buff overall. Quinn is such an obnoxious lane bully and snowball champion, so they just kind of made the blinding assault a little bit longer cooldown as you max it. Not really that big a deal, and they made the duration on the blind a little bit shorter because blind is like, if you get hit by Quinn blind, you just want to like kill yourself. It's so annoying. I think Quinn will still be strong, but these are decent nerfs to Quinn overall. Twin Bite on Shyvana got nerfed on the total attack damage ratio a little bit. I think she'll still be decent at clearing, but her scaling is going to be... scaling in the mid game will be a little bit weaker. Shyvana falls into the same kind of realm which I was talking about with Master Yi, where she doesn't really influence the map pre-6, and if you're a jungler and you're not influencing the map pre-6, you're probably playing jungle wrong. So I'm glad that they nerfed this. Like I don't like Devour jungles, and I don't like their playstyle, and I don't like... it's just not the right way to play the game. It's very selfish, and yeah, you're just not doing the real job that a jungler needs to do. So, decent nerf to Shyvana, but I'm sure she'll still be strong. I'm pretty sure. Twisted Fate, just bug fixes or visual changes. Enchantment Runic Echoes, the base damage on it got lowered by 20. This is gonna hurt Elise, Nidalee, Rumble Jungle, and Echo Jungle. I think this is going to be the thing that kind of really puts the other junglers down into the realm of champions like Rek'Sai. Oh, this also hurts Gragas as well. But this is going to be the rise of Rek'Sai and Graves and Kindred. Like they're going to really start showing up because of these nerfs to Nidalee and this AP item. So I think pretty much yeah, like Rek'Sai is just going to be going off, Kindred is going to be going off, Graves is going to be going off in solo queue. They're going to be super strong now. So. Yeah. Tiamat, just kind of changed the item a little bit. Build path's a little bit different. It has lower attack damage, but now passively clears nearby enemies for 20 to 60% of total attack damage. Pretty much brought back what the old Tiamat did. That's not that big, but it's going to give you a little bit more wave clear, I guess, if that's what you're aiming for. So if you lack wave clear, you can get a Tiamat and have a little bit better wave clear. And then Ravenous Hydra also just has a slightly different build path. Nothing big changed. And Titanic Hydra now has lower attack damage, so I think generally Ravenous Hydra is going to be the one you want to go for. Titanic Hydra might be good in some instances, but I think Ravenous Hydra is kind of what you want to go for. This could be a nerf to Rek'Sai as well, because a lot of people are going Titanic Hydra second on her, because Black Cleaver got nerfed, but I think Black Cleaver might be the build you want to go for now. Let's see, ZZ Rot Portal... they basically made it like a pink ward. It only has five hits on it now for the health. I think this is a pretty decent nerf to the item because one of the strengths of it was so hard for all these tank tops to kill this item if they did find the portal. But now like they can actually kill the portal pretty fast. So I think this nerf might be the thing that makes ZZ Rot not being built as much. Sometimes it could still be built if you can like put it in funny little spots and use it just to like put it down and then go lead the lane to lane push. But I think ZZ Rot isn't something that's going to be rushed anymore. And I think it's about it for the patch notes. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.